not very good, carefully crafted plans. We have the benefit as a nonpartisan nonprofit to really devote a lot of time to this and work with economists in order to come up with what we think is a good proposal. And it's available to everybody, Republicans and Democrats, because it is nonpartisan, a 501c3. But with that disclaimer being said, this plan is based upon an abiding concern that we have got to do something about growth. We've got to do something to get the country moving again and to get jobs created. So we looked at it, very carefully, and we said, what's going on here? And we found that most of the economic indicators coming out of the so-called Great Recession we're doing okay, except one. Investment was way down. It was down 80% during the recession, still down 66% even during this type of recovery. So that's what's going on here. Nobody's investing anything. So the goal here is to create a new tax system or some tax changes that will actually spur investment and get people putting the investment into factories, into people, into jobs, and that's what this program does.
Certainly. Since you mentioned it, let's jump right into that. Investment in America can be seen as faith in America, faith in American industry, faith in American politics, in order to not mess with the way that we make our money. Do you think that that is one of the reasons why investment has declined so swiftly?
Well, certainly the attacks on the American economic system have not been helpful, and it discourages investors and business people and makes them a little frightened about actually investing money for the long run, particularly when you have a lot of moving around on the economy. I mean, just take this recent discussion about the payroll tax. They ended up with a temporary extension of a temporary tax cut. I mean, come on. So what you really have to do is bring some stability into this. This plan that we call the Growth Code will do that. It's a 5-step plan. It can be implemented. It's not pie in the sky. It's real. And if we can do this, I think that we will actually create some new jobs. So the plan is, quite simply, number one, let's separate out business and really give it some incentive. And stop small businesses from passing through their profits and end up being taxed at like 35% or something like that. Let's go ahead and get everybody applying on the same tax form. Charge them 15%. Number two, let's just let everybody expense their investments in the first year. You invest the money, you get to take it off your taxes. Number three, for individuals, let's buy down the rate to 10, 15, and 25%. And let's get rid of all these different deductions and credits and just call this 10, 15, and 25%. And then fourthly, let's do something to really cushion the blow on people who are poor people. Let's put in a $4,300 family tax credit, refundable tax credit. People at the lower rates would get the full amount. People on higher rates, higher incomes would get less. And then finally, you end up, we need to go through the tax system and systematically eliminate double taxation. Double taxation is a detriment on investment continuously. You go through that, you eliminate double taxation. For example, capital gains is a double taxation, for example. The company pays on the money, they give it to their shareholders, and then they pay again. That's double taxation. Why would a shareholder do that? He may as well just go buy a car or something like that. We need to spur investment. That's what this program does.
Nothing is sure in this life but death and taxes. How do you suppose you're going to get the people in Washington to rescind some of these taxes, particularly the double taxation one, the capital gains tax? Seems like a big mountain to climb.
I don't think this is a case of going in and lobbying some skeptical senator or House member. At some point, the American people are going to rise up and say, we're tired of being unemployed. We're tired of having no future for our children. We're tired of having no place to go during the day. And we've got to have change in order to get investment going. At that point, the senators and the Congress people are going to need something. This is a program that will work. If you implement this, our economists tell us that over the next several years, you'll end up with over 14.5% more growth of gross domestic product. The result of that is going to be actually 14.8 more revenue for the United States government. You're going to end up with unemployment coming below 5%, and capital investment stocks are going to go up 35%. If you do something like this, you're going to address that concern of the American people, which I believe is a very serious problem right now. And I think the people are going to want to be responsive.
Certainly. You begin your Investors Daily article by casting kind of an ominous shadow on a potential future for America, talking about Europe, saying that we are on the path to get there. We're not there yet. We can change our course, but you're seeing what will happen to America if we don't change. Can you say right now what do you see as the biggest similarity that we have to Europe, and what could we change outright right now to fix this path that we're headed down?
Yeah, this is a different direction. The Growth Code is a conservative tax and economic program that will help the country. Mm-hmm. We're not on that right now. We've tried about everything you can try that won't work. We've tried stimulus, and that's very temporary. It's all run out. The money just went right on to debt and deficit. Didn't work. We've tried that kind of thing. They've tried higher taxes, and they're still trying to do higher taxes. But respected economists have told us in their studies that for every new dollar of taxes you increase, you reduce the gross domestic product $3.
Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, it's important. It's not just economics talk. If you're reducing the gross domestic product, you're reducing jobs.
Yeah.
And jobs is the problem. Unemployed people is the problem. Loss of hope, loss of opportunity for people, concern over their children, concern over their own future. This is the challenge that America's facing, and that's why we've come up with this program to try to help.
Absolutely. You've run for Senate. You've been a successful governor in Virginia. Are you happy in your current capacity here in the nonprofit as talking to politicians and coming up with these ideas from outside of the political sphere?
No, it's very liberating, as a matter of fact, because people understand you're just trying to help without trying to be self-serving all the time. You know, if you're running for office, you're trying to serve the people by serving in office, but people always say, oh, he's just trying to get elected, et cetera, et cetera. This is an opportunity to try to really help the country, help my state and help my country by doing something that's a contribution without being a candidate. It's pretty refreshing.
Mm-hmm. Yet, as we've seen in all the papers and a lot of the radio stations today, your endorsement still means a lot. You endorsed Mitt Romney. Do you think he would be for a plan like this?
I hope so. He has a very broad-based economic agenda or discussion. If you dig around in that, you actually find some of these elements in that. I have said actually that I think that Governor Romney needs to narrow up and get a little more focused with something like this. Mm-hmm. And I think that it will serve him well. But let me tell you why I did the endorsement, Ben. I did the endorsement because I think he actually is concerned about the right topic. We really got to do something about the economy of this country. You're going to end up with serious consequences we're not going to like. You're going to end up with bad law, bad politicians, and a bad future unless we do something to get the country moving again. I think Governor Romney is interested in doing that and probably is best equipped to do it, and that's why I endorsed him.
Absolutely. Considering the Occupy protests, considering all of the people asking for freebies right now, considering that we have, I believe it's 48% that don't pay any income taxes, you make mention here that everyone should pay something, and this is a very contentious issue. How do you expect to sell that to the 48% that pay nothing right now?
Because we're going to give them some hope. We're going to buy down the rates. We're going to create jobs. And that's the most important point. We're going to give them jobs. We're going to give them something to look forward to for the future. Not a stimulus job that's going to disappear in 6 months. A real job that does something organically for a growing economy and gives you some hope and prospect for the future. And you're right. We do in our program say everybody ought to pay taxes. It's a matter of civic virtue. If you don't have any sort of stake in the game, you don't have any skin in the game because you didn't make any kind of investment, you don't care what kind of politicians are going into office. You're just looking for some cushion for your problems and for your challenges. We think that we ought to have everybody paying some taxes. But look, let's get real here. The $4,300 refundable tax credit is going to provide some extra value into these families so that they can pay some taxes and still come out ahead. The goal here is, and some conservatives won't like this refundable tax credit, but it is a good way of cushioning the problem and allowing for the other key elements to go into place, which will actually move the economy forward.
Final question, here's the sell. You said that these can be passed by a simple majority vote in Congress, which is refreshing because a lot of these plans is going to take moving massive mountains, constitutional amendments and things to get them done. It's refreshing to see a plan with such simplicity. If I was a congressman, what would be the best way to sell me on this plan? What's the best pitch?
Go out and talk to your constituents. And don't just talk to just your donors. I've been there and done that. I understand that part. But the truth is you have to go and actually talk to regular people out there, people whose cousins are out of work, whose children just graduated from college and can't find a job, some poor guy who's out there trying to raise a family of 4 and he's laid off. Talk to these people and ask them, don't you think we need to do something about the economy? They'll hear from that. And these people do vote, and we want them to vote. And we, by the way, if they paid some taxes, they sure would vote. So it's extremely important for congressmen and senators to go out there, talk to their constituents, and be prepared to come forward with a positive plan. Man, this is a positive plan. It's not a negative thing. These congressmen and senators could grab onto a plan like this and go to their constituents and say, I'm going to offer you some hope. Why else am I in office? Yeah. And I think that is something that they would want to do. Instead of being negative all the time, let's get positive about the future of the country.
We thought that's what we had last election. Turned real negative real fast, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. But we gave this to the president. We're a nonprofit, nonpartisan. We gave this to the president. But I think his constituents are going to really want to have things, quote, paid for, unquote, which is basically just moving the deck chairs around. They're going to insist upon more revenue. And that's on almost all the plans. It's bad because, as I said, if you go in and you increase taxes, you're going to slow growth. That's been the problem all along. Everybody says we got to have more revenue, then they throw it out of the door on stimulus. It's exactly the spiral down that we're in. A program like this can get us spiraling back up again.
Governor, thank you so much for your time here. I really appreciate it.